I get why her friends are like, I want to talk about this, but I don't want it to be a big deal. And Max is going to make
Yeah.
it a big deal. But that's the part where it gets typecasted because you don't, and this is the immaturity, instead of communicating that to Max and giving her a chance to show up differently, they assume it and then just try to work around it. Try to work around
Mm-hmm.
the hard conversation. Because I think what I really appreciated about the slow build to the Max episode is that I was seeing in full perspective how oftentimes people can feel left out, but it's not intentional. A lot of times we have a
Mm-hmm.
hard time in our in friend groups being like, "How was it not intentional that you left me out?" Like Bracia, one of the moments like when she happened to be in the parking lot and happened to see Ginny in the car. So then she went in the car and talked to Ginny, but what she came back and told Max was, "Oh yeah, me and Ginny had lunch in the car." It seemed like a intentional decision, but it was happenstance. Or when she saw Abby and Ginny trying on dresses together and texted Norah like, "Did they go shopping without us?" And they didn't. They just both happened to be at the same store. And I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times our anxiety helps us create these ideas that people are like the people we love are working against us in some way and are pushing us out when that wasn't even always the case. I think a lot of the built up for Max were actually happenstance instances where the girls were not intentionally trying to leave her out, especially
Mm-hmm.
Ginny. And I do think that when Marcus would tell Max, don't make this about you, but what Ginny and Georgia were going through, half the time he was right. There were half the times he said that sentence I agreed with him because it's like I know you want to be there for Ginny, you want to fix this for Ginny, you want to be the hero in her scenario because that's what you've been taught to be for Marcus and you love Ginny like that. But this is not you feeling left out about how she's dealing with this huge trauma. It's not about you, baby. And I get it because I have to tell like myself sometimes like stuff like that where I'm like I get the inclination to want to just hover and do what you can for the people you love and realizing that sometimes what they need is for it to not be and then not taking it personal like not
Mm-hmm.
taking it personal to it but then it became time for her to take it personal and I'm glad she spoke up when she needed to because towards the end it was getting a little crazy. I said okay, now y'all not giving Max a chance and that's not fair, but I loved the buildup of how it was not there was not one clear right or wrong. I like that it was this blend because that's what life is. Like it's this blend of good and bad. Nobody is bad. Nobody is good. It's like we're all a mix. And I love that in the friend group, like we got to see Ginny and Max's break not even be totally intentional and more
Mm-hmm.
situational.
Mm-hmm. So I hear you. I'm with.
I'm saying though because some of it was a lot of it I kept watching throughout
No,
the season. Max felt left
true.
out, and I'm like, oh Max, I wish you knew they didn't
Right.
plan this. They didn't do that. Like this
You
is
know,
they just ended up here.
and that's what I'm saying. No, I hear you because I get it. I mean, I lived it. You know,
Yeah.
I think that when you look at a relationship and you're looking at the sum of its parts and like the totality of the relationship and you're thinking about okay, like how does this relationship feels to me right now? If you already feel left out, that is the
Mm-hmm.
lens in which you will start to understand or make
Everything.
sense of these different situations, which is why when she heard about them at the store and her embracia, that makes sense. Because at the same time, those two circumstances happenstance, and there were times where they did intentionally set her aside. We're like, no, I don't want to tell her this. No, let's keep this within ourselves, right? There were events, and then when they went to egg the house, you get what I'm saying? Like, so when you
Mm-hmm.
look at the sum of everything, yes, you have some things that were not necessarily planned with that thought to keep her out, but more often than not, they did, right?
I only could think of
Yeah.
two times that they did. I mean, I'm honestly like, I mean, when it comes to the three of them, when it was because they went to Abby's house to talk to her about the eating disorder, and then they egged the house. That was all one night, right? And
Yes,
I
but they
think that
also
it's
had
like,
conversations though, where there's
right,
like
but yeah,
con-
yeah, yeah.
conversations like Ginny has certain things that she's like, I don't want her to know.
Mm-hmm.
Abby, same thing. You get what I'm saying? So like, yes,
Yeah,
your intentions do color how you show up, right? And if
yes,
they
yeah.
had that intention towards Max, it would influence how they were showing up in the relationship. Because just
I
because you
agree.
decide to keep certain pieces of information doesn't mean that, oh, there's closeness in other areas. Once you have an intention about somebody, there is an emotional distance that starts to occur between the relationship. When Max took the opportunity to say, hey, I'm noticing X, Y, and Z, right? Because we know that Marcus was trying to tell her, don't make it about her. And she was trying to really operate from that. I do think that there's opportunity to validate her need to want to help and tell her it's okay to not show up, because you kept hearing a lot of people say, stop, don't do this. It's not about you.
And they were harsh.
Yes. And there was no care or love in the communication to her. And there was no validation of what her intent was. And so when she decides to like, okay, have this conversation, it's just like, once again, another shutdown. It didn't, for me, it didn't feel like they wanted to have a conversation. I do understand there's wisdom and timing. So maybe doing it at the show isn't the best time. But when you think about it, when was the last time they all spent time with each other? You know what I mean?
They go to the same school every day. They're together every morning in the hallway. I think it's like, because I don't completely disagree with you, right? But I think the advice that Ellen gave Max in her bedroom when she talked to her about it in her episode, where she said, sometimes it's about like the timing of when you say the things. And then she didn't listen to her mom, did the thing with Ginny anyway. And then she was like, I should listen to my mom. She was right. Yeah. Like, because this made it worse.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times it's like, but that's the anxiety part. And I identify with that anxiety, where your anxiety is telling you, I got to regain this closeness or I've lost them forever. But that intensity is also what's pushing them away. And so it's a hard, self-fulfilling prophecy. Because I think in the same way, like, it's like she, like, because to your point, because she's already felt left out, it amplifies these things. So she's coming in amplified. Versus there's times where it was Abby and Ginny, and Norah never cared. There were times, you know what I mean? There were times where Norah and Abby and Ginny never cared. But I mean,
but they also wasn't treating Norah that way.
But no, there were times where like it was just Abby and Ginny. I'm just saying that like anytime two people got together and Max was not the third, she had something to say about it. Every single time. I'm just saying that Braysha was never like, dang, you ain't like, how come you be with your white friends, but you don't never be with me? Like, you know what I'm saying? It speaks to it's part of Maxine's personality, and I get it, right? Because it's her anxious attachment, but like, I think it's twofold. It is both why they needed to take better care with her, but also why they felt like they needed to distance from her, because there are like I said, in this scenario, she was right, and I was mad at them during the play. I said, y'all being mean to this girl, and she don't deserve this. But there were times in the past where Maxine was making everything about her, and it was getting on my nerves.
I mean,
both
absolutely.
things were true for me.
Absolutely. I mean, in that scene at the party, when
the very last party when Marcus got drunk. Yeah. Okay, I want to make sure I knew.
Yeah, and she was just like, I don't know, maybe we just grew apart, and that's okay. And then, Max was just like, I don't want that to be okay. It feels like they have already accepted that we don't want closeness with Max because she's too much. And that for me was my indication around, it wasn't just, when it comes to these topics, we need some space. It was like, I don't think I want her in my emotional space. And they're not having the conversation around the shifting. They didn't have the conversation around the shift in the friendship. And so you have people who may not have voice that they're okay with, like, not being on the same level anymore. But also remember, Norah, Abby, and Max were the original three since childhood. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's not just, like a high school friendship. These girls have been friends since they were little kids. And so I wouldn't even fault someone for saying that Max sees them as her sisters. You know what I mean? So it's just like my nucleus of like friendship, sisterhood is coming apart, and I don't know why. And no one's talking to me. Like,
I feel like they've told her. They just haven't told her nicely. Like, they've told her, you're too intense. Like, you make it about you. Like, these are things that people have said to her, but they're not saying it in a way that, like, is... Yeah,
That's
but
feedback.
they're not putting it full circle. But I think it's also because they don't know how to voice. I don't think they know. I don't. And to your point though, I do think what Ginny said at the end. I don't. I guess it's like a thing where it's like it was built to that. By that point, Ginny felt that way.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that Ginny came into the season feeling that way about Max. You know what I mean? Like I think that it was a build up, and it was a build up of Max. Like, but it just was unfair. Like, I get it. It's unfair to Max that. She was typecasted. She was cold. I thought it was uncharacteristically cold. Like I almost felt like in that scene, I said, "Who wrote this scene?" Because this don't feel like
it makes
Ginny
sense though.
But where she's going to, right? Maybe it's the new version of Ginny.
It makes sense because she's transforming into Georgia. She done went through so much life, and it's just like the girl just had an abortion. You know what I mean?
You know what?
So
and
it's just
point,
like
she's probably like Max. I'm going.
It don't matter.
I don't have no, but I also don't have space.
I don't have space.
The things you're mad about, like, are so little compared to the things.
Here's what I got going on.
Yeah. Until she saw it.
Until she saw Marcus, and by then she tried to circle back, and then Max was like, "We're good."
I have to deal with. No, she was like, I have to deal with my family.